أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى قال رب لم حشرتني أعمى وقد كنت بصيرا قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى وكذلك نجزي من أسرف ولم يؤمن بآيات ربه ولعذاب الآخرة أشد وأبقى أفلم يهد لهم كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون يمشون في مساكنهم إن في ذلك لآيات لأولي النهى ولولا كلمة سبقت من ربك لكان لزاما وأجل مسمى فاصبر على ما يقولون وسبح بحمد ربك قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل غروبها. ومن آلاء الليل فسبح وأطراف النهار لعلك ترضى. ولا تمدن عينيك إلى ما متعنا به أزواجا منهم زهرة الحياة الدنيا لنفتنهم فيه ورزق ربك خير وأبقى ورزق ربك خير وأبقى. وأمر أهلك بالصلاة واصطبر عليها لا نسألك رزقا نحن نرزقك والعاقبة للتقوى. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد و الثناء لله رب العالمین و الصلاة و السلام علی اشرف الانبیاء و المرسلین حبیب قلوبنا و طبیب نفوسنا ابی القاسم المصطفى محمد و علی آله الطیبین الطاهرین المعصومین المکرمین سیما بقیت الله فی الارضین و اللعن الدائم علی اعدائهم من حین عداوتهم الی قیام یوم الدین. یا من اسمه دوا و ذکره شفا و طاعته غنا ارحم من رأس ماله الرجا و سلاحه البکا یا سابق النعم یا دافع النقم یا نور المستوحشین فی الظلم یا آل من لا يعلم صل علی محمد و آل محمد. In many of the narrations from the Holy Prophet, from Amir al-Mu'mineen, from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, in many notes, in numerous notes, we have that before the time of the Zuhur, or the reappearance of our beloved Imam of Time, there will be an era of confusion, an era of astonishment, or an era of confusion where people are becoming wondering on where to go, which side, which direction they have to go, which side they need to pick to stand on. And these ahadith are so many that they leave zero doubt about that this is going to happen. I'm going to read two of these ahadith to you just for the barakah of it, otherwise they're there. One is from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. He says, تَكُونَ لَهُ غِيبَةً وَحَيْرَةً. For him there exists ghaiba, the occultation, and hayra, that confusion, that state of wondering where to go, being stranded. تَذِلُّ فِيهَا الْأُمَمْ أو تَذِلُّ فِيهَا الْأَقْوَامِ, in which many of the nations or many of the people or many of the groups will go deviated, will get misguided. In another note we have from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, يَخْرُجُ بَعْدَ غَيْبَةٍ وَحَيْرَةٍ. Our beloved Imam of time will appear or will reappear after the ending of his occultation, وَحَيْرَةٍ. The era that exists before his reappearance is an era of confusion. لا يثبت على دينه إلا المخلصون. No one will remain steady, or no one will be able to protect their faith except those who have purified themselves, except the mukhlisun. It's very important to know that in this era that we are living, and is the time before the time of the reappearance of our beloved Imam of time, it's the Imam of 12th Imam, our 12th Imam. Shaitan is attacking the deen with all of its powers, with all of its forces, from every single dimension. It's attacking every single moment, to the point that it can postpone the reappearance of our Imam of time as much as it can, as much as they can. Why? Because they know that the existential philosophy of the reappearance of our Imam of time is the end and the demolishing of shayateen from the face of the earth. Therefore, he tries his best. And you know, as the Holy Quran describes, Shaitan says, Kana min al-jinn. He is from the jinn. And one of the characteristics that human beings and jinn share in common is that over the course of time, they can expand their knowledge. They can grow. The same way the human beings of the year 2023 is not similar to the human beings of 2000, or even compared to the past, to 1950s or World War I or whatever. The same way the shaitan of today is nothing similar to the shaitan of the past. As you grow, as your knowledge expands, his knowledge and the tricks and plans and plots that he has grows and expands. Look at the situation of your life right now. Many of the times, in many conversations that I have with people of my age, we say that during our time, the school system was much easier to go through, yet be able to preserve our identity. Look at the case today. See how things have changed. So the more we grow, the more our knowledge increases, the more our abilities and technology, whatever that comes on the way, the same way the shaitan and his plans get more complicated because he is growing as well. There's a parallel competition going on. One to deviate people from the path of the truth, and one is the movement of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, continued by our beloved Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, to guide us towards the truth. So therefore, on one direction or on one side, there is an escalation, there is an elevation, and on the other side, there's a downfall. And these two are moving with the same pace. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says, sometimes we underestimate shaitan. This is one of the issues that we are facing with and dealing with. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam says in Nahj al-Balagha, Kana abadallah sittata alaf sana. He worshipped Allah for 6,000 years. Non-stop. He has had long age. He's been there. Talking about shaitan. And this long life has given him an exceptional amount of experience. Therefore, in this era of confusion before the dhuhr that has been described in the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt, deen and religion will be attacked from its every dimension. Every dimension that many of us couldn't have imagined about. Look at today. Could have you draw an image of today 10 years ago? Many of us weren't able to. Deen will be attacked, is under the attack and strike by the shaitan from every dimension and every corner of it. And speaking about underestimating shaitan, he has even tama', and he is even willing to misguide the anbiya. Not saying that anbiya are getting misguided or deviated, they are ma'soom, they're infallible. But the followers, what about the followers? In the story of Prophet Musa in the Holy Quran, it says, Surah Qasas verse 15, وَدَخَلَ الْمَدِينَةَ عَلَى حِينَ غَفْلَةٍ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. Prophet Musa entered the city without the knowledge of its inhabitants and dwellers. فَوَجَدَ فِيهَا رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ. He saw that two men are fighting with each other. هَذَا مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ وَهَذَا مِنْ عَدُوِّهِ. One is his follower and the other is his enemy. And then فَاسْتَغَاثَهُ الَّذِي مِنْ شِيعَتِهِ عَلَى الَّذِي مِنْ عَدُوِّهِ. The one who was the follower of Prophet Musa, the Shia of Prophet Musa, sought help from him against the enemy, who was a soldier of Pharaoh and who was an oppressor. He had oppressed so many people. It's been said that the Prophet Musa, فَوَكَزَهُ. It's so beautiful. It says, with a punch. Prophet Musa was so strong, with a punch that he had a strike on the face of that adu, that enemy. فَقَضَى عَلَيْهِ. He passed away. He was dead. And then the Holy Prophet says, وَقَالَ هَذَا مِنْ. Who knows the rest of the verse? مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. The Prophet said, this was the action of shaitan. This was the work of shaitan. إِنَّهُ. Indeed he is عَدُوٌ مُذِلٌ مُبِينٌ. He is the sworn enemy of the human being and wants to mislead him. One person went to Imam Rida alayhi salam and asked a question. And Believe it, brothers and sisters, if it was anyone else other than Imam Rida alayhi salam and had came up with such answer, we wouldn't have been taking it. Went to Imam Rida, an individual went to Imam Rida and said, Ya Mawlai, don't we believe that the prophets are ma'asumeen or they're infallible? Don't we believe that they don't get misguided, they can't get influenced by the shaitan? Imam Rida said, yes. And then he said, how then do you justify this part of the Quran that says that Prophet Musa, after doing what he did, he said, قَالَ مِنْ هَذَا مِنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. This is an action of shaitan. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, this hada does not refer to the punch or the attack of Prophet Musa against that man. That man deserved death because he was an oppressor. This hada refers to the first part of the verse when he says فَوَجَدَ رَجُلَيْنِ يَقْتَتِلَانِ. The fact that this fight between these two individuals, in a moment that Prophet Musa was chased by the government of Pharaoh, and if he was caught by them or captured by them at that point, his entire mission would have been in danger. He says this event, an incident, was from the amal of shaitan. Look at the battle of Siffin. Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, shaitan can't do anything about Amir al-Mu'minin. He's divinely protected, he's infallible, he's ma'soom. But what about the followers? Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam and his army is this close to defeat Muawiyah. And if that had happened, that victory was taking place at that point, the entire history would have had changed. We wouldn't be here at this point that we are right now. What did they do? They put the Quran atop the spears. Some of these ignorance that were around Amir al-Mu'minin, they looked at the Quran and they said, Ya Ali, we do not want to fight with the Quran. We're fighting with Muawiyah, of course. Amir al-Mu'minin said, put that aside. Go and follow Malik al-Ashtar. He's so close to defeat Muawiyah. And they said, Ya Ali, no. We are not going to let that happen. You ask Malik al-Ashtar to come back, otherwise we will kill you. And these people later on became Khawarij. Can shaitan influence Amir al-Mu'mineen? No. But his followers, yes. Look at the story of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. He is again on a battlefield to confront with Muawiyah. And don't think that Imam Hassan's army was tiny and weak. No. From a night to a morning, Ubaidullah ibn Abbas, who was one of the commanders of the army of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, with 8,000 men, all of them were bought in a very high price by Muawiyah over a night. They changed their side and they went to the side of Muawiyah. The army of Imam al-Mujtaba alayhi salam was completely shattered. Guess what happened? Imam had to sign a peace treaty with Muawiyah. Can the shaitan influence Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba? No. But his followers, yes. What about our Imam of time right now? Can the shaitan influence our Imam of time today? Does he have any way over our Imam of time today? No. But to his followers, yes. To those, us, very us. Those who claim to be his lovers, those who claim to have been longing for his return and reappearance. Shaitan can make us becoming heedless so that day in and day out we do not even remember our Imam. So that we do not even feel that he is not there. So that we do not even feel that we are in hayrat al-dhalala. We are in the confusion of getting misguided without the Imam. This is a serious thing that we are facing today, brothers and sisters. On these nights of Muharram, you see it every year. From the beginning of Muharram to Ashura, you hear things. Why'd you go to Hayat? Why'd you have to remember an incident that happened 14 centuries ago? Why'd you have to spend your money feeding those who are not poor? Blah, blah, blah. Why'd you have to spend all your money here and there? And all of a sudden, once Ashura is over, all of these talks and words and whatever they say will go silence until the next Muharram. In these nights, two groups are really working hard. One group are the Hussainis in this universe, from every corner of this world. You see volunteers in this masjid working day and night to set up the decoration, to clean after we all leave, to do whatever they can. And everywhere else, from back home to every city in the United States, Canada, to the Africa, to China, from east to the west of the world, north to the south of the world. The entire universe, the Hussainis are working constantly and so hard on these nights. And on the other side, the shaitan and its followers are working so hard on these nights. And they do not stop working against us. So that many of us will end up slipping and getting deviated. Do not let the slippage or the deviation of others alter your determination. That happens. Oh, that sister has decided not to be in the community and not to be in the nation of Islam. That brother has decided to be a different person. Rather, that should bring you into thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I am still in. I haven't been kicked out yet. I haven't faced a slippage. If you can grab their hand and bring them back, do so. But that's what shaitan wants. And he doesn't get satisfied until he makes sure all of us are kicked out. We underestimate shaitan. We underestimate the shayateen. Some of you might have heard the name of the Arif Ayatollah Sheikh Murtaza Zahid. He was one of the ethical teachers and urafa who lived in Tehran. It's been said that one of the time and in one of the nights that he had his Darsi Akhlaq, he came to the masjid and everybody, all of his students felt that he's not the same. He's not feeling well. He's not smart and sharp as he used to be. When he started his Salatul Jama'ah, there were places that he was making shak and doubt. He was redoing his recitation of surah, so on and so forth. After the salat, when he had his lecture, they saw that his lecture was not as organized as it always was. And on the way back to his home, people felt that he's somehow not feeling well, to the extent that he was almost close to losing or getting lost on the way back to his home. And they saw that this feeling of Sheikh Murtaza Zahid is continuous. It has been there for a couple days. They got worried. They said, do you need to visit a doctor? He said, no, it's nothing. It's going to become okay. And then they insisted, oh, what's going on? What is going wrong? He said, I have seen a hadith from the Holy Prophet that he has said it to Amir al-Mu'mineen, that from the time I saw this hadith, I've not been feeling well. And this hadith is this. I'm going to read it to you. It says, Ya Ali, the same way you know the ways of guidance, the same way you know the paths of rescue, the same way the shaitan is aware of the directions of dhalala and misguidance. And Ayatollah Sheikh Murtaza Zahid then said, what should I do with this shaitan? You might ask me right now, you might be thinking about this verse of the Holy Quran and say, Sheikh, what you're telling us is contradicting with this verse of Quran that says, Inna kayda shaytana kana da'ifa. That indeed, certainly, the plans of shaitan are weak. Brother, that verse has prior parts that you have to look at before making judgments. Look at that verse. Let me read that verse to you so that we do not underestimate shaitan. It says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذين آمنوا. First of all, those who are the believers, the true believers, those who truly rely on Allah and have killed their hopes in anyone but Allah. الذين آمنوا يقاتلون في سبيل الله. They're struggling and combating on the path of Allah. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ الطَّاغُوتِ. And then describes those they are confronting with, the side of the enemy. الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, the deniers of the truth. فِي سَبِيلِ الطَّاغُوتِ, who are in the path of Taghut. Taghut is defined to be anyone or any force or any power or any so-called power except the power of Allah or except the authority of Allah. Whatever it's going to be. And then he says, فَقَاتِلُوا. The Holy Quran commands them, the mu'mineen. فَقَاتِلُوا أَوْلِيَاءَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Confront the awliya of shaitan. إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. For those who are awliyaullah, for those who have relied on Allah, for those who have purified themselves, of course, the kaid of shaitan, the plans of the evil are weak. For people like me, it's going to be very strong, brothers and sisters. Who said it's going to be weak for us, for me? Recite the salawat, please. Therefore, please do not imagine, refrain from imagining that we can get through these ending times, this special era that we are living in, without seeking help from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. There is no way. There is no way. I'm going to end tonight's lecture with this story of Ayatollah Bahjat. Ayatollah Bahjat, you all know him. His son narrates. He says that one day Ayatollah Fihri, one of the classmates of Ayatollah Bahjat, from the time they were in Najaf and they were studying under Ayatollah Qadi, came to visit him. It was towards the end of the life of Ayatollah Bahjat. And Ayatollah Fihri said, Agha, you found your way. You found Allah. You found the path to perfection and you proceeded in this path. And you became who you are today. But I'm going to complain to you. You're not loyal. You're not a loyal friend. Because if you were so, you would have grabbed our hand and have elevated us as well with yourself. Says Agha Bahjat burst into tears, started shedding tears, and his body was shaking. He said, Agha Bahjat said, if it was anyone else but you, and if it was any place but this place, that this conversation was between me and you, I would have said nothing. Agha Fihri, Ayatollah Fihri asked him, he said, give me a piece of advice, and do not give me a regular piece of advice that you give to everyone. Give something special to me. Because I'm 70 or in my 80s. I'm not a 20 years old man. I'm already towards the end and termination of my life in this dunya. Give me something precious. Ayatollah Bahjat said, I was in the presence of Imam Rida alayhi salam. Not that he said, I visited the shrine of Imam Rida, as we all do. He said, I was in the presence of Imam Rida. Man dar mahzar Hazrat Reza buda. We go to ziyarah, usually we do the ziyarah of the dhari and the walls of the shrine and the doors and the gates. It's good. Do not abandon that. Do not leave doing that. That's good. But this is how the awliya Allah make ziyarah. They visit the Imam. They feel themselves in the presence of the Imam. And he said, in that event, Imam Rida alayhi salam gave me 10 things, 10 precious advices. And I leave you with one of them only, to Ayatollah Fihri. And that is Imam alayhi salam told me, come to our door. We are Kareem. If someone comes to our doors, we do not let them go away. We'll allow them in. We'll give them permission to come in. If someone seeks refuge to us, we grant them refuge. That's what we are. Ma'danur Rahmah. They are the source of the mercy of Allah. As we say in Ziyarat Jama'a Kabira, Man atakum naja wa man lam ya'takum halak. Whoever comes to your door, Ya Abu Abdullah, will end up having rescue. Wa man lam ya'takum halak. Whoever decides not to come to your door will end up in halaka. This is a principle. Zurara says, I was sitting next to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The hadith is so beautiful. Then Imam describes the ending times for Zurara. This confusion that we are talking about. This area that is filled with tests and tribulations that we are living in. To the extent that many of you are worried that if you can protect your faith on next day or not. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is describing the situation to Zurara. And then Durara says, Ya Mawlai, if I get to live in that time, is there anything that I should do? In adraktu hadha zaman ayyu shay'in amala biha aw a'mala biha. Is there anything that I could do in that ending times? Imam says, yes, recite this dua. Allahumma arifni nafsak fa innaka in lam tu'arifni nafsak lam a'rif nabiyak ila akhir. Imam says recite this dua. My point is not the dua itself, rather the order of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam to Zurara, that if you were living in these ending times, make dua. Don't forget that. Tazkiyatun nafs is needed in these ending times. Tawassul to Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam is much, much needed in these times. Otherwise, we will not be able to make it through. Otherwise, there is no way. Be certain. There is no way to have aqibatul khair. You're going to get off the ship of salvation, the Safinatun Najat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, if you do not seek refuge, if you do not hold strongly to the rope of Abu Abdullah, which is the Hablul Mateen, as he is the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. All right, I think that is enough for tonight. Tonight, we go and we make tawassul to the 3 years old daughter of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Bibi Ruqayyah. Sallallahu alayka ya sayyidati wa ya mawlati ya bint al-Husayn. Assalamu alayka wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. چشمهایی ز غمت اشک فشان ما را بس، از دو بازار یکی باب دکان ما را بس. برگ زردیم و گر از شاخ فتادیم چه باک، صورتی سرخ ز سیلی خزان ما را بس. گرچه دائم نفروشند به ما یوسف را، لیک جایی به صف مشتریان ما را بس. یبن الحسن من قیمت اون ندارم، خریدار تو باشم مولای من. اگه این قلب کوچیک ظرف محبت شما شده، معجزه خود شما بوده مولای من. راه در حلقه عشاق به هر کس ندهد، نگه گوشه چشمی ز میان ما را بس. همه دل خوشیمین این شبا به من یه نگاه کنی آقا مولای من. بگی در این غربت هر جوری بود خودتو رسوندی به مجلس حسین. ما دوتا پنجره داریم سوی سیر بهشت، دوتا پنجره داریم سوی سیر بهشت. یک نم اشک به تو از دو جهان ما را بس. منصب و شوکت و دولت به جهان ارزانی، از عناوین جهان
مرسی خان ما را دم بگیر، مرسی خان حسین شو، حسین وقت گذشته، روزه 3 سال است، بی مقدمه وارد روزه بشم. پیامبر اکرم صلی الله علیه و آله وقتی از دنیا رفتن بدن کاملا سالم بود، زخمی بر بدن نبود. امیرالمؤمنین صلوات الله علیه فرمودند که حضرت زهرا فرموده باشن لباس پدرم رو بدید ببینم. میگه وقتی من پیراهن پیامبر رو به حضرت دادم، همین که بیبی سلام الله علیها پیراهن رو دیدن بیهوش شدن. من دیگه اون لباس رو مخفی کردم. یا امیرالمؤمنین، یه خانم رشیده بالغه، سیده نساء اهل جنت، نتونست لباس سالم باباش رسول الله تحمل کنه. دیدن گریه یه بچه گوشه خراب تمومی نداره. اون ملعون ابد و ازل گفت سر بابا رو براش ببری. یه دختر بچه 3 ساله وقتی شب به خرابه رفتن، صورتش رو روی خاک خرابه گذاشت. نوشتن وقتی تشت و مقابلش آوردن، وقتی روبند و کنار زد تا نگاه کرد، چند قدم عقب رفت. قدیم صورت آسیب دیده بود، 3 سال سر بابا رو نشناخت. هر وقت بیچاره شدید تو زندگی حدیث کتاب خونید. حضرت زهرا میگه انی اشم عندک راحتن طیبه. بچه ها وقتی وارد میشن به حضرت زهرا میگن انی اشم عندک راحتن طیبه. من میگم رقیه خانوم دید بوی بهشت تو خراب پیچیده. از بوی عطر بابا فهمید این سر باباست. با ناز دخترانه، اونایی که خدا بهشون دختر داده میدونن 3 سالش که میشه دختر چقدر شیرین میشه. دل بابا رو میبره. با ناز دخترانه سر و بغل گرفت، شروع کرد از بابا با لحن دخترانه دلبری کردن. من الذی ایتمنی علی صغر سنی. بابا جون زود بود رقیه بی بابا بشه. حالا اومدی، حالا که رقیه دیگه افتاد از پا اومدی. حالا اومدی، حالا که بار سفر بستم از این دنیا اومدی. عمو عباس رو نیاوردی چرا تنها اومدی. حالا اومدی بابایی. کاش یه دختر بچه داشتیم این شعر رو بلد بود، اون برام امشب روزه میخون. خیال کردی قهرم حالا اومدی، واسه آشتی نمیگی چرا رفتی و ما رو تنها گذاشتیم عزیزم.